The blue-skinned aliens called themselves the Zephyrian Empire. They had been conquering planets for over 200 years. Their massive ships were the size of small cities, and their weapons could destroy entire worlds. Every race they met either surrendered quickly or died fighting. Admiral Kextar stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at reports about their next target. The planet was called Earth, and it was home to creatures called humans. He read the intelligence files with growing amusement. These humans had only basic nuclear weapons and could barely travel to their own moon. Their planet was divided into different countries that often fought each other. "This will be our easiest conquest yet," Kextar told his second officer. "These humans are even more primitive than the rock people of Titan 7. We won't even need our full fleet." The Zephyrian force consisted of 12 enormous warships, each one capable of destroying a continent. But Kextar decided that only 3 ships would be enough for Earth. The intelligence reports showed that humans had fewer than 100 spacecraft, and most of those were simple research vessels or communication satellites. "Deploy ships, Void Render. Cosmic Fang and Star Crusher," Kextar ordered. "Standard conquest formation. We should be done in time for the evening meal." The 3 chosen warships began moving toward Earth's solar system. Each ship carried enough firepower to turn the planet's surface into melted rock. The Zephyrians had used this same strategy 17 times before, and it always worked perfectly. Meanwhile, on Earth, Captain Jake Morrison was working the night shift at the Terran Defense Monitoring Station. It was a quiet job most of the time. He watched for asteroids, tracked weather satellites, and made sure nothing dangerous was heading toward Earth. But tonight was different. His long-range sensors picked up 3 massive objects moving toward the solar system. The readings seemed impossible. The objects were larger than anything humans had ever built, and they were moving faster than any known technology could achieve. Jake checked his instruments 3 times before accepting what he was seeing. These were not natural objects. They were ships, and they were heading straight for Earth. "Get me Admiral Hayes at Terra Command," Jake told his communications officer. "Priority Alpha emergency. We have incoming visitors, and I don't think they're friendly." The message reached Terra Command within minutes. Admiral Lisa Hayes had been expecting this call for 20 years, though she had hoped it would never come. She stood in the main command center, surrounded by screens showing Earth's major cities, space stations, and defense systems. "All stations. This is Admiral Hayes," she announced over the secure network. "Execute Protocol 7. This is not a drill." Across 6 continents, hidden facilities that most government officials didn't know existed began powering up. Deep underground, massive computers started running programs that had been waiting dormant for decades. These systems had been built by the smartest people on Earth, preparing for exactly this situation. In the Nevada desert, Dr. Helen Carter watched as her life's work came online. The underground facility she managed looked like a simple research station from above, but below ground, it housed some of Earth's most advanced technology. Technology that had been reverse-engineered from crashed alien ships over the past 50 years. "All defense networks are green," she reported to Admiral Hayes. "The fleet is ready to deploy." Most people on Earth had no idea that their planet had a real defense system. The public knew about the small space force that guarded the orbital stations and tracked dangerous asteroids. But the real defense fleet had been built in secret, using technology that officially didn't exist. The project had started in 1975, when a damaged alien scout ship crashed in the Pacific Ocean. Instead of announcing the discovery to the world, a small group of military leaders and scientists decided to study the wreckage in secret. They learned that Earth was not alone in the universe, and that not all alien species were friendly. Over the next 50 years, 4 more alien ships had been recovered. Each one taught Earth's scientists something new about advanced technology. They learned how to build better engines, stronger armor, and more powerful weapons. Most importantly, they learned how to hide ships from alien sensors. The secret fleet had been built slowly and carefully. Hidden shipyards operated under the ocean floors. Manufacturing plants disguised as research facilities produced advanced components. Even the astronauts who flew the ships thought they were part of a classified military program, not humanity's last line of defense against alien invasion. Admiral Hayes walked to the main display screen, which showed the 3 alien ships approaching Earth. They would arrive in less than 18 hours. She had spent her entire career preparing for this moment, training crews and developing battle plans for a war she hoped would never happen. "Commander Blake, what's the status of our stealth fields?" she asked her tactical officer. "All systems operational, Admiral," Ryan Blake replied. "The enemy sensors show nothing but background radiation. As far as they know, Earth has no real defenses." Admiral Hayes nodded. This was humanity's greatest advantage. The aliens thought they were attacking a helpless world with primitive technology. They had no idea that Earth had been preparing for their arrival for half a century. "Send a message to all fleet commanders," Hayes ordered. "Tell them the day we've been training for has finally arrived. Earth is counting on us." Across the solar system, hundreds of human ships waited in hiding. They were positioned near asteroids, behind planets, and in the empty space between worlds. Advanced cloaking technology kept them invisible to alien sensors. The crews were ready, their weapons charged, their hearts filled with determination to protect their home. As the 3 alien warships entered Earth's solar system, their crews felt confident and relaxed. They had done this many times before. Find a primitive world, demand surrender, and either accept submission or destroy all resistance. It was simple, efficient, and had never failed. Admiral Kextar looked at his tactical display and smiled. Earth appeared completely defenseless. A few small satellites, some space stations, and nothing that could threaten his mighty warships. The humans would surrender quickly once they saw the overwhelming power of the Zephyrian Empire. But Admiral Kextar had made a critical mistake. He assumed that what he could see was all that existed. He believed that a primitive species would fight like primitives, with the weapons and tactics his sensors could detect. Earth's real defense force remained hidden, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal itself. The aliens were about to learn that sometimes the most dangerous enemies are the ones you can't see coming. The 3 alien warships moved into orbit around Earth like hungry predators claiming their territory. Each ship was massive enough to block out the sun when it passed overhead. Their dark metal hulls bristled with weapons that could crack continents and turn oceans into steam. Admiral Kextar stood on the bridge of the Void Render, his flagship, and prepared to contact the primitive humans below. He had done this speech 17 times before, and it always ended the same way. The inferior species would surrender immediately, or they would be destroyed within hours. "Open communications with the planet's surface," Kextar ordered his crew. "Let's get this over with quickly." The transmission reached Terra Command, where Admiral Lisa Hayes sat in the main command center. Around her, dozens of officers worked at computer stations coordinating with military bases and government leaders around the world. This was the moment humanity had been preparing for, but it still felt surreal to finally be talking to alien invaders. The alien admiral's image appeared on the main screen. His blue skin had dark markings that looked like war paint, and his eyes glowed with the confidence of someone who had never lost a battle. "Primitive species of the 3rd planet," Kextar said through his translation device. "I am Admiral Kextar of the Zephyrian Empire. You will surrender your world to our rule, or we will destroy every living thing on your planet's surface. You have 24 of your hours to decide." Admiral Hayes looked around the command center at her officers. Commander Ryan Blake gave her a small nod from his tactical station. Captain Nina Torres confirmed that all communication networks were ready. Lieutenant Colonel Pete Williams reported that every defense system was online and waiting. "This is Admiral Lisa Hayes of the Terran Defense Force," she replied calmly. "Earth rejects your demand. Leave our solar system immediately or face the consequences." The silence that followed lasted almost 10 seconds. Then Admiral Kextar began laughing. His crew joined in, filling the bridge of the alien warship with the sound of their amusement. "Did this primitive just threaten us?" Kextar asked his officers, wiping tears from his glowing eyes. "What are they going to do, throw rocks at us? Fire their primitive nuclear weapons that can't even reach orbit?" "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "our sensors show no significant military presence. A few orbital stations, some communication satellites, nothing that could damage our shields." Kextar nodded and turned back to the communication screen. "Humans, you have made a terrible mistake. We will begin destroying your largest cities in 1 hour. Perhaps that will help you understand the situation better." The transmission ended, and the 3 alien warships began powering up their main weapons. Energy readings spiked as massive guns prepared to bombard Earth's surface. The aliens had decided that a quick demonstration of power would convince the humans to surrender. But as the alien weapons charged, something unexpected began happening in the space around Earth. At first, it was just a small shimmer, like heat waves rising from hot pavement. Then the shimmer grew stronger, and the empty space around the planet began to ripple. Captain Danny Ford was monitoring the situation from Earth's deepest space tracking station. He had been waiting his whole career for this moment, training on equipment that officially didn't exist and preparing for a war that most people thought was impossible. "Admiral Hayes," he reported over the secure channel, "all stealth systems are ready to disengage. The fleet is in position and waiting for your command." Admiral Hayes took a deep breath. Once she gave this order, there would be no hiding anymore. The world would know that Earth had been preparing for alien invasion for 50 years. But more importantly, the aliens would learn that they had made a serious mistake. "All ships, this is Admiral Hayes," she announced over the fleet communication network. "Disengage cloaking fields. Show them what they're really facing." What happened next would be remembered as the moment humanity announced itself to the galaxy as a force to be feared. The empty space around Earth suddenly filled with ships. Not dozens, but hundreds of sleek, deadly vessels that had been hiding behind advanced stealth technology. They appeared like ghosts becoming solid, materializing from what the aliens had thought was empty vacuum. The Terran fleet was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The ships were smaller than the massive alien warships, but they moved with a grace and speed that seemed almost alive. Their hulls were smooth and dark, designed using lessons learned from studying crashed alien technology for half a century. Admiral Kekstar stared at his tactical display in complete shock. Where moments before his sensors had shown empty space, now they detected over 400 human warships. Each ship was broadcasting energy signatures that his computers couldn't identify. "This is impossible," he whispered. "Our intelligence said they barely had spaceflight capability. Where did all these ships come from?" His tactical officer ran the sensor sweeps again and again, hoping the readings were wrong. "Sir, I'm detecting technology we don't recognize. Their hull compositions are unknown. Power sources are reading beyond our sensor limits." What the aliens were seeing was the result of Earth's greatest secret project. For 50 years, the smartest humans alive had worked in hidden facilities, studying alien technology and improving on it. They had taken the best ideas from 5 different alien species and combined them with human engineering and creativity. Captain Alex Turner commanded the TSS Wolverine, one of Earth's newest destroyers. His ship, like all human vessels, used adaptive armor that could change its structure to deflect different types of weapons. The engines didn't push through space like normal rockets, but actually folded space around them to move faster than light. "All ships, this is Admiral Hayes," came the command from Terra Command. "Execute Battle Formation Alpha. Show these invaders what happens when you threaten Earth." The human fleet moved with precision that shocked the alien observers. These weren't clumsy, primitive spacecraft stumbling through space. The Terran vessels flowed like schools of fish, surrounding the much larger alien warships with coordinated grace. Commander Rachel Stone piloted her fighter, the TSS Falcon, as part of the first attack wave. She had trained for this moment since she was 18 years old, learning to fly ships that used technology decades ahead of anything the public knew about. The first exchange of weapons fire lasted only 30 seconds, but it changed everything. The aliens fired their massive energy cannons, weapons designed to destroy entire cities with single shots. The beams struck the human ships with enough power to vaporize mountains, but the human ships didn't vaporize. Their adaptive shields absorbed the energy and redirected it harmlessly into space. Meanwhile, Terran weapons fired back with pinpoint accuracy, tearing through alien armor like it was made of paper. Admiral Kekstar watched in horror as one of his warships, the Star Crusher, took critical damage from ships that were a fraction of its size. Explosions rippled along its hull as human weapons found weak points that shouldn't have existed. "How are they penetrating our defenses?" he demanded. His crew had no answer, but the truth would have terrified them even more. Humanity had been studying Zephyrian technology for years, ever since they captured one of their survey drones. Earth scientists knew exactly where the alien ships were vulnerable, exactly how their shields worked, and exactly how to destroy them. As the battle continued, Admiral Hayes prepared to reveal the next phase of Earth's defense. The aliens had seen hundreds of human ships, but that was just the beginning. Phase 2 would show them the true extent of humanity's preparation. The space battle around Earth had been raging for only 10 minutes, but Admiral Kekstar already knew he was facing something impossible. His massive warships, which had conquered 17 star systems, were being torn apart by smaller human vessels that moved like living creatures. The Star Crusher, one of his 3 dreadnoughts, was listing badly with fires spreading through its hull. The Cosmic Fang had lost 2 of its main weapon systems. Even his flagship, the Void Render, had taken damage that his repair crews couldn't fix. "Sir," his tactical officer reported with fear in his voice, "we're detecting more human ships approaching from multiple directions." Kextar looked at his display screen and felt his blood turn cold. The 400 human ships that had already surprised him were just the beginning. New contacts were appearing all around Earth's solar system as more cloaking fields shut down. Captain Steve Parker commanded the battlecruiser TSS Liberty, leading the 2nd Battle Group as it emerged from hiding near Jupiter. His 40 ships had been waiting in the gas giant's shadow for 3 days, monitoring alien communications and planning their attack. "All units, we are weapons-free," Parker transmitted to his captains. "Remember what these aliens did to the colonies at Proxima Centauri. No mercy for planet killers." The Liberty and her escort ships accelerated toward Earth, their weapons already charging. Behind them came more ships and more, until the space around Jupiter glowed with engine exhaust from hundreds of human vessels. At the same time, Commander Kate Carson brought the 5th Fleet out of concealment near Saturn's rings. Her ships had been hiding among the ice and rock for weeks, completely invisible to alien sensors. Colonel Jim Mitchell's fast attack squadrons materialized from the asteroid belt, where they had been camouflaged as mining equipment. Admiral Kextar watched his tactical display fill with red dots representing human ships. The numbers kept growing beyond anything his computers had been programmed to handle. "How many vessels do they have?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. His tactical officer checked the readings 3 times before answering. "Current count shows over 2,000 ships, Admiral, and more are still appearing. But even that number was wrong." The truth was far worse for the invading aliens. For 50 years, every major nation on Earth had contributed to building the secret fleet. Hidden shipyards operated under the Pacific Ocean. Orbital construction facilities disguised as space debris had been manufacturing ships in secret. Automated factories on the far side of the moon had been working around the clock. Humanity had turned their entire solar system into a fortress, and now the defenders were revealing themselves. Lieutenant Commander Amy Watson controlled the stealth carrier TSS Phantom, which had been hiding in the shadow of Earth's moon. As her ship decloaked, it began launching something the aliens had never seen before. Thousands of small, "Intelligent fighter drones! Drone swarms away!" Watson reported to Admiral Hayes. Each unit is equipped with quantum targeting systems and adaptive learning protocols. The drone fighters moved like a single living organism, learning from each exchange of fire and improving their tactics in real time. They were controlled by artificial intelligences that had studied every known form of space combat, programmed by Earth's greatest strategic minds. Admiral Kextar watched in horror as the tiny human drones swarmed around his ships like angry insects. They were too small and fast for his main weapons to target effectively, but their small guns could find weak points in his armor with deadly accuracy. "Sir," his weapons officer called out, "we're losing shield generators on decks 7 through 12. These small craft are targeting our critical systems with impossible precision." Captain Bill Hayes commanded the destroyer TSS Ranger, leading a squadron of 12 ships that had been hiding behind Mars. As they approached the battle zone, his tactical officer gave him a damage report on the alien fleet. "Sir, enemy ships are attempting to retreat. They're trying to reach the edge of the solar system." Admiral Hayes, monitoring the entire battle from Terra Command on Earth, made the decision that would change galactic history forever. "All ships pursue and disable. We cannot allow them to report back to their empire with intelligence about our capabilities." But Admiral Kextar had one more shock waiting for him. As his damaged ships tried to flee toward the outer planets, space shimmered again, this time directly in their escape path. The humans had been expecting this retreat attempt. Commander Tony Martinez led the 7th Fleet as it emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. Behind him came thousands more ships, Earth's strategic reserve that had been positioned to cut off any alien retreat. "Admiral Kextar," Admiral Hayes' voice came over open communications. "You are completely surrounded. Surrender your ships immediately, or we will destroy them all." The Zephyrian admiral looked at his tactical display and saw something no member of his species had ever seen before. Complete tactical defeat. His 3 mighty warships were surrounded by over 6,000 human vessels, outnumbered, outgunned, and completely outmatched. The primitive backwater world had revealed itself as the most advanced military force he had ever encountered. Every assumption his empire had made about humanity was wrong. These weren't helpless primitives with crude nuclear weapons. They were apex predators who had been waiting patiently for someone to threaten their world. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we're receiving surrender demands in 17 different human languages. They want us to power down our weapons and prepare to be boarded." Kextar stared at the main screen, which showed the endless formation of human ships stretching from the inner planets to the outer edge of the solar system. Each vessel was a masterpiece of technology that combined the best ideas from multiple alien species with human innovation and determination. The most terrifying part was the coordination. 6,000 ships moving with perfect precision, responding to commands instantly, working together like parts of a single massive organism. The level of organization and planning required was beyond anything the Zephyrian Empire had ever achieved. "How long have they been preparing for this?" Kextar asked, though he already knew the answer would be measured in decades, not years. His science officer, who had been analyzing the human technology, provided the terrifying truth. "Sir, based on their engineering signatures, I estimate they've been developing these capabilities for at least 50 Earth years. They've been watching us, studying our technology, and preparing specifically to fight against Zephyrian forces." Admiral Kextar realized that Earth hadn't just defeated his fleet. They had been planning this victory since before he was born, gathering intelligence, building weapons, and training crews for a war they knew would eventually come. The humans had spent half a century turning themselves from a primitive species into the most dangerous military force in the galaxy. And they had done it in complete secrecy, letting their enemies underestimate them right up until the moment they revealed their true strength. As surrender became the only option to avoid complete annihilation, Admiral Kextar prepared to send a message that would change the balance of power across the galaxy forever. Admiral Kextar had commanded fleets for 30 years and conquered more worlds than any other Zephyrian officer. He had seen species surrender in terror, fight with desperate courage, and die with stubborn pride. But he had never experienced what was happening now. Complete and total defeat by an enemy he had completely underestimated. The tactical display on his flagship showed a sight that would haunt him forever. Over 8,000 human ships surrounded his 3 battered warships in perfect formation. Every direction he looked showed more enemy vessels, stretching from the inner planets to the outer edge of Earth's solar system. "Sir," his tactical officer reported with a trembling voice, "sensors are detecting additional ships still decloaking. Current count is approaching 9,000 vessels." But even that number was growing. As Admiral Hayes gave her next command from Terra Command, space around the entire solar system continued to reveal more hidden human ships. "Phase 3, full deployment," Admiral Hayes ordered calmly. "Bring in all remaining battle groups. Show them everything." What happened next would be remembered across the galaxy as the moment humanity revealed its true military strength. Hidden shipyards that had been disguised as asteroids opened their docking bays, releasing hundreds more vessels. Manufacturing plants on distant moons activated emergency protocols, launching ships that had been completed but kept in storage. Captain Danny Rodriguez commanded the massive carrier TSS Enterprise, which had been hiding in the clouds of Venus for 2 weeks. As his ship emerged, it began deploying wing after wing of fighter aircraft, each squadron piloted by humans who had trained their entire lives for this moment. "All fighters launched," Rodriguez reported to Admiral Hayes. "We have over 1,200 craft in the air, with full weapon loads and experienced pilots." Lieutenant Sarah Kim flew her fighter, the TSS Hawk, as part of the first wave. She had graduated from the Secret Flight Academy 3 years ago, learning to pilot ships that used technology the public didn't know existed. Behind her flew 500 other pilots, all ready to defend their home world. The fighter swarms moved with deadly precision, coordinating their attacks through advanced communication systems. They struck at the alien ship's weapon systems, shield generators, and engine ports with surgical accuracy. Each pilot knew exactly where to hit for maximum damage. Admiral Kextar watched helplessly as his ships took damage from every direction. The human fighters were too small and fast for his main guns, but they carried weapons powerful enough to disable critical systems. Meanwhile, larger human ships continued their coordinated assault on his armor and shields. "How are they coordinating so many ships?" he asked his tactical officer. "This level of organization should be impossible." The answer lay in technology that Earth had developed specifically for large-scale fleet combat. Every human ship was connected through quantum communication networks that allowed instant coordination across vast distances. Battle plans could be updated and shared in real time, letting thousands of ships fight as a single unit. Commander Lisa Park controlled the communication systems aboard the command ship TSS Victory. Her job was to coordinate the movements of over 10,000 human vessels, fighters, and drones. Advanced computers helped manage the complexity, but it still required human judgment and creativity. "Admiral Hayes," she reported from her station, "all fleet elements are in position. We have complete tactical control of the entire solar system." The true extent of humanity's preparation was now visible for the first time. Ships emerged from hiding places throughout the solar system, behind planets, inside asteroid belts disguised as space debris, and cloaked in empty space. Earth had spent 50 years turning their entire star system into an impregnable fortress. Captain Mike Thompson commanded the battleship TSS Thunderbolt, one of the largest ships in the human fleet. His vessel was the size of a small city, armed with weapons that could destroy planets and shielded by defensive systems that had never been tested in real combat until today. "Sir," his weapons officer reported, "we have target locks on all remaining alien ships, waiting for permission to fire." But Admiral Hayes had a different plan. Destroying the alien fleet completely would send one message to the galaxy. Letting survivors escape would send a much more powerful message about humanity's strength and confidence. "All ships, maintain firing positions but hold weapons," she ordered. "We're going to give them something to think about." As the human fleet completed its deployment, the final count reached a number that defied belief. 11,000 combat vessels of various sizes, plus thousands of fighters and drones. The largest military force ever assembled in Earth's solar system, all built in secret and revealed only when needed. Admiral Kextar stared at his tactical display, trying to comprehend what he was seeing. The humans had more ships than his entire empire could deploy in a single location. Each vessel showed technology signatures that were equal to, or superior to, Zephyrian engineering. "Sir," his science officer said quietly, "I've been analyzing their fleet composition. They have ships designed for every type of space combat: fighters, destroyers, cruisers, battleships, carriers, and support vessels. This isn't a desperate defense force. This is a professional military designed for large-scale interstellar warfare." The most terrifying realization was that the humans had built this entire fleet while maintaining the appearance of a primitive, divided species. They had fooled every intelligence agency in the galaxy, letting their enemies see only what they wanted them to see. Captain Jennifer Walsh commanded the stealth ship TSS Shadow, which specialized in intelligence gathering. Her vessel had been spying on Zephyrian forces for 3 years, collecting information about their technology, tactics, and weaknesses. "Admiral," she reported to Hayes, "we have complete tactical data on enemy vessel specifications. All weak points have been identified and targeted. We can disable their remaining ships without destroying them, if that's your preference." Admiral Hayes considered her options carefully. The alien fleet was completely defeated, but the war was far from over. These 3 ships represented only a tiny fraction of the Zephyrian Empire's military strength. The real conflict would begin when the Empire learned what had happened at Earth. Target their weapons and engines only, she decided. Disable them, but leave life support and communications intact. We want survivors to carry our message back to their leaders. The final phase of the battle was swift and precise. Human weapons targeted specific systems on the alien ships with surgical accuracy. Within minutes, all 3 Zephyrian warships were helpless, their weapons destroyed and their engines shut down. Admiral Kextar sat in his command chair, surrounded by sparking consoles and the smell of burned electronics. His mighty fleet was defeated, his ships were crippled, and he was completely at the mercy of an enemy he had underestimated beyond all reasonable measure. "Sir," his communications officer said, "the humans are requesting our surrender." They want to discuss terms. Kextar looked one final time at the tactical display showing 11,000 human ships maintaining perfect formation around his crippled vessels. Never in the history of the Zephyrian Empire had any enemy displayed this level of military power and organizational capability. "Open communications," he said quietly. "Let's see what these humans have to say." Admiral Kextar activated his emergency communication beacon with hands that shook from shock and fear. The message he was about to send would travel for months through deep space before reaching Zephyrian High Command. But it would change the course of galactic history. "High Command. This is Admiral Kextar of the Fourth Fleet," he began, his voice heavy with defeat and newfound respect. "Abort all planned operations against the human system. I repeat, cancel all attacks on Earth immediately. The humans are not what we believe them to be. They are not primitives. They may be the most dangerous military force in the galaxy." Around his crippled flagship, the Void Render, 11,000 human ships maintained their positions in perfect formation. The sight was both beautiful and terrifying. Each vessel represented decades of secret preparation and advanced technology that surpassed anything the Zephyrian Empire had developed. Admiral Lisa Hayes stood in Terra Command, watching the displays that showed her complete victory over the alien invaders. The battle had lasted less than 2 hours and Earth's losses were almost insignificant. 47 ships had taken damage, only 12 were destroyed, and fewer than 3,000 human lives had been lost. "Admiral," Commander Ryan Blake approached with the final battle reports, "what are your orders regarding the alien survivors?" Hayes looked at the tactical display showing the 3 disabled Zephyrian warships. 18 smaller alien vessels had also been captured or disabled during the battle. Inside those ships were thousands of enemy soldiers and crew members who had just witnessed the most shocking military defeat in their empire's history. "Repair their ships enough to make the journey home," Hayes ordered after careful consideration. "Provide them with basic supplies, medical aid, and safe passage to the edge of our system. Then escort them out." Some of her officers looked confused by the decision. Captain Nina Torres spoke up from her station. "Admiral, wouldn't it be better to keep them as prisoners? We could gather intelligence about their empire." Hayes shook her head. "Fear is a weapon more powerful than any gun, Captain. Letting survivors return home will spread our message faster and more effectively than any transmission we could send. Every alien species in the galaxy will hear about what happened here." The decision demonstrated humanity's greatest strategic insight. They understood that perception was often more important than reality in interstellar politics. A few traumatized survivors telling stories of Earth's military might would be more convincing than any amount of propaganda. Captain Steve Parker, whose battle group had captured 6 alien vessels, found himself face-to-face with Zephyrian prisoners for the first time. Commander Vexon, Admiral Kextar's second-in-command, stared at the human officer with something approaching religious awe. "Your species planned this entire battle," Vexon said through the translation device. "You knew we were coming before we even left our home system." Parker nodded grimly. "We've been watching your empire for 25 years. We studied every world you conquered, learned from each species' defeat, and prepared specifically to fight against Zephyrian tactics and technology." The alien commander's expression shifted from awe to terror as the implications became clear. "You've been preparing to fight us for decades?" "We've been preparing to fight anyone who threatened our world," Parker corrected. "Your empire just happened to be the first to make that mistake." As the alien survivors were transferred to their repaired ships, they carried with them detailed memories of humanity's overwhelming military superiority. They had seen technology that exceeded their own, organization that surpassed their best efforts, and strategic thinking that had outmaneuvered their most experienced commanders. Dr. Helen Carter, who had spent 30 years developing Earth's defense systems, watched from her underground facility as the alien fleet prepared to leave. Her life's work had succeeded beyond her wildest dreams, but she knew this was only the beginning. "Admiral Hayes," she reported over the secure channel, "all manufacturing facilities are shifting to full production mode. If the Zephyrian Empire decides to return with a larger force, we'll be ready." The secret shipyards were already beginning construction of even more advanced vessels. Earth's victory had revealed their capabilities to potential enemies, so the next phase would require even better technology and larger fleets. Admiral Hayes made one final transmission, broadcasting on all known galactic frequencies so that every spacefaring species would receive the message. This is Admiral Lisa Hayes of the Terran Defense Force, speaking for the human species and the planet Earth. We are a peaceful people who wish to live in harmony with all intelligent life. We have no desire for conquest or expansion beyond our own star system. However, any species that threatens Earth, her colonies or her people will face the same fate as the Zephyrian Fourth Fleet. The message paused for a moment, then continued with quiet determination. We do not seek war, but we are prepared for it. We do not wish to rule others, but we will defend ourselves. We are not the weakest species in the galaxy, though we may appear to be. We are humans, and we protect our own. Admiral Kextar's battered ship limped away from Earth's solar system, escorted by a dozen human vessels that ensured safe passage to the edge of human space. As Earth grew smaller behind them, he made his final log entry about the encounter. Personal log, Admiral Kextar, Day 247 of the Conquest Cycle. Today I learned that the universe is far more dangerous than our empire believed. We encountered a species that appeared primitive and helpless, but revealed itself to be the most formidable military power I have ever witnessed. He paused, looking at the tactical recordings of 11,000 human ships in perfect formation. They thought Earth wouldn't fight back. We were wrong. Earth didn't just fight back, it won so completely that our defeat will be remembered across the galaxy for 1,000 years. The humans have sent their message to the stars, written in the wreckage of what was once considered an unstoppable fleet. The message spread across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. Within 6 months, every major spacefaring civilization had heard the story of the Zephyrian defeat. The details grew with each telling, but the core truth remained the same. The small blue world called Earth was not to be underestimated. Trade ships changed their routes to avoid human space, not out of hostility but out of respect for a species that had proven its strength. Military planners across dozens of worlds studied the battle recordings, trying to understand how such overwhelming force had been hidden so effectively. Most importantly, no other empire attempted to conquer Earth. The humans had achieved the ultimate strategic victory. They had made war unnecessary by demonstrating that they could not be defeated. In the years that followed, Earth became known throughout the galaxy as the planet that had fooled everyone. The species that looked weak but was actually the strongest. The world that had spent 50 years preparing for a single battle and won it so decisively that they never had to fight another. Admiral Hayes retired 5 years later, knowing that her life's work had secured humanity's place among the stars. Earth was no longer a hidden target for alien conquest. It was a respected member of the galactic community, feared by enemies and admired by allies. The secret was finally out. Humans were not just another primitive species struggling to reach the stars. They were apex predators who had been waiting patiently for someone to threaten their world. And when that threat finally came, they had been ready.